Good day, everyone. This is Patrick from EasyFX Code Trading System, and it's Saturday, the 28th of August, 2021. And this is the weekly technical analysis for the Euro, the Cable, and the Aussie Dollar for the first week of September. And we quickly scan through the three major pairs here. Looks like they have turned bullish for last week, and all due to Friday's Jackson Hole statement and speech from the Fed Chair Powell, where they clarified on their position on tapering, and tapering is not as early as next month, but towards more to the end of the year, probably November, could be as late as December. However, after that, it doesn't mean that interest rate hike will follow soon after. So they also clarified that, and that will be a separate issue and separate decision, and which could mean it could be later in towards the end of next year, rather than towards the middle of next year. So that turned out to be not what the market was expecting and anticipating, and this basically turned around and drove the US dollar weaker and pushed up all the major currencies against the dollar. You'll see in my separate video on spot gold as well that that made spot gold made a strong move. So let's kick off with the euro. And it started off the week with a positive move on a Monday, after finding some support just below the 117, and it followed through until Thursday, where it started to weaken after hitting the previous 62 pip retracement, and probably likely setting up for a resumption of the bearish move. But however, due to the Jackson Hole Fed Chair statement and speech, that turned it around, and it's came back to the 118 and hit the 50% fib again. It's just near the 118, and attempting to retest that rising trend line that where it fell from, and that had retested and retraced lower, but now it's trying to retest that again. And if that breaks, then it could try to break above the monthly pivot. So we'll see whether next week the US dollar is going to continue its bearish move that will allow the other major pairs to take advantage, and it could break through this 55 EMA monthly pivot and perhaps target the daily 200 EMA. Right, so we shall see how the US dollar reacts next week, especially the Asian session, as the Jackson Hole statement was only late on Friday. That was 10 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah, that's 10 p.m. For Singapore time. So that was late in the day. Right, and let me just switch over to the forward time frame to see that actually market was getting ready to weaken, and that was the initial spike below, and then a strong bounce back up right into the resistance zone again. Okay. So this now is going to be a strong resistance zone at 118. It could be a slight pullback, and then, but it's going to try to break through this resistance zone. And this is now the 117 is clearly at support. And weekly pivot is just above that, 117.21. That was for last week. This week we'll likely see it a slightly higher level. But for now, it looks like it's short-term bullish and trying to target the monthly pivot at 118.43. So over the past 2 weeks, if we just take a look at the movement for the past 2 weeks or 10 days, it started from this level here, just at 118, and it has recovered all that and climb up to test the 118 again. Okay, if we this here, we'll see that if it does break through this swing high, it could target the 138 fib just above the monthly pivot, and then the 162 fib extension right near the daily 200 EMA at 118.85. So we'll use this fib reversal setup to see whether that's whether it's going to move towards that. Okay. And on the bigger swing here, it's it found support at the 38 fib retracement of this retracement move down, and that's where it bounced from, right through the weekly pivot. Okay, let's also take a look at the US dollar index, which basically will show its fall based on the news. And in fact, it started weakening on the Monday due to poor US PMIs. It started falling on Monday, finding some support at this previous swing high here, 92.78. Was looking to bounce and climb back up, but then with the news from the Fed, we tested this previous swing high and then fell right down to the 78.6 retracement level now. So let's just tidy this up. This is now at resistance. And I think we can remove this since we've got the fib as support. This area now is support at the 78.6. And looks like it could attempt to test the daily 55 EMA and perhaps lower down to the daily 200 EMA. So that could be an interim support this area. right? That's down to the 92.10s area. Okay, so unfortunately, after breaking through the resistance and punching through the recent swing high of the year, after Friday's close with a look like a small shooting star, it looks it's fallen through all the way now. Okay, let's move back to the cable. And for the cable, it also had a very strong bullish move right from the start of the week on Monday. And in fact, it started early and climbed all the way through the rest of the day back to test the 62 fib retracement and hovering around the daily 200 EMA after bearish close on the Thursday back to 137.00. It was likely looking for follow through lower, but with the Fed news, it flipped around and climbed back up to the 50 fib retracement area. So now it's also short-term bullish. And the 138 is be in danger of being tested and broken. And next target for town is probably the monthly pivot and the 38 fib retracement, 138.26, along with the daily 55 EMA. Okay, and last week's weekly pivot was sitting right at the 137.00 as well. And we need to mark this as a support zone now. Okay, for the week, and that's actually a strong bounce from the weekly 55 EMA. You see this clearly through the labels, but that was the weekly 55, and that's just at the 136 where it found support and turned around. Okay, and I will move this up here for next target for next week. And support is sitting at the 137. Zero here. Okay, actually I can probably extend this right over, and you'll see that it was sitting, bouncing from that area. If we go back far enough, that was where all the way back then, first quarter of the year. Okay, so for both the Eurozone and the UK, the Also have the flash manufacturing and services PMIs on Wednesday and the Friday. And they're all exposed also to the non-farm payroll report coming up on Friday. So that will be a key one to watch out. And it could also just turn it around if a strong figure comes out. And the US dollar could recover and maybe in the short-term recovery and bounce, but we'll see how strong the numbers are. Okay, let's move on to the Aussie dollar. And the Aussie dollar as well did find support at this 162 FIB extension, falling from this bearish pennant. And also a strong move on the Monday, started on a Monday, back to 72.00. And then by the end of the week, it punched through the 73.00 area. So this is going to be a critical one if it's able to hold above that. And similarly, if we also take a look at the 2 weeks move for the Aussie, starting on the Monday of 2 weeks ago, it has retraced back up all the way to the 78.6 FIB retracement. Right, the Euro has already recovered all the way back up to the start of that 2 weeks move down. That was 100% retracement. And for the cable, we could also draw a move here, this area, and it has a retrace to the 62 FIB retracement. But that's okay, we've got a bigger swing. Let's hit the 50% FIB. So for the Aussie, it has climbed back up to this level at just above 73.00. In addition, if we also add in a weekly pivot, you can also just see that it has also hit, it's a bit faint here, but it's in yellow, weekly R1 pivot level at 73.05. So confluence of resistance levels here, 78 FIB, 73.16, 73.00 round figure, and the weekly R1 pivot at 73.05. So that was a critical target to hit, and it was also that swing low where it punched through. So that in the short term, or as well as the other major pairs, there's likely going to be a continuation higher. And it could try to target the 74.00. That's where the daily 55 EMA is at as well. So in the short term, it's also bullish. Let's mark this zone here. It's a key resistance zone. All right, so on the support area, we likely find support from this 50 FIB retracement area, 72.40. That's where this bounce started. And let's also mark this target up here at the 138 fib trace extension of this move up. And there's also another fib on the bigger swing that's at the 38 fib. So let's identify this as a potential target zone. Okay, so for now, 7,300 needs to hold. And we'll see if it's going to continue to aim for 7,400. And then after that, it could continue to target the daily 200 EMA area, 74, 77. Okay, this week the Australian news is only the GDP, and it's also exposed to the non-farm payroll report on Friday. So, and also the weakness that started to move down, apart from the dollar strength, was also the RBA not confirming whether it's going to push out the tapering that was scheduled for September. So this next meeting for the RBA is going to be a critical one. That's going to be the week after. And if the economic outlook with this extended lockdown in Australia, if it impacts the economy further, then it's likely that there could be a delay in the tapering, which could bring some weakness to the Aussie dollar. So that's could impede this progress of the US dollar moving up higher. So for now, it may not be able to reach this eventual target at the 200 EMA, but 7,400 is possible. Okay, so let's see how the first half of next week is and the US dollar movement. And then eventually on the Friday, that will be a key one for the US dollar movement with the non-farm payroll report. All right, do check out my other video on spot gold and dollar yen as well. And have a good trading week. Have a safe week, and cheers for now.